Hi students, welcome to online class. In this video, we are going to discuss about chapter 11 functions. Now we are going to see the next topic, call by reference. See, there are two methods are there for calling a function. First method is call by value. So another method is call by reference. In the previous video, we have discussed about how to call a function by using the call by value method. So whenever we are calling the function, when we pass the value will be copied. The actual parameter is copied to the formal parameter, and then whenever you do any change in the formal parameter, those changes will not affect the actual parameter. Then that particular method is called call by value method. But when you go for call by reference method, this method, whenever we copy the value from the actual parameter to the formal parameter, the changes made in the formal parameter, that will affect the actual parameter. Why? Because in this method, instead of copying the value, it copies the address of the actual argument into the formal parameter. That is, instead of copying the value, it copies the address of the actual parameter to the formal parameter. Can you understand, students? In call by reference method, instead of copying the value, we are going to copy the address of the actual parameter to the formal parameter. So, since we are copying the address of the parameter is passed, any changes made in the formal parameter will be reflected back. Any changes made in the formal parameter will be reflected back to the actual parameter. Can you understand, students? So that is call by reference method. So now we are going to see the program. See, the program is same, but only one change you can see here. In the function header, we are going to use one special symbol called ampersand symbol. Instead of x, we are going to pass ampersand x. Call by value, call by reference, the program is more or less same. Both the programs are same. We are going to do only one change in the program. What is the change means? In the function header, that is the void display, in the function header, instead of passing x, we are going to pass ampersand x. What is mean by the symbol ampersand? The symbol ampersand represents address of operator. What is the symbol ampersand represents? The symbol ampersand represents address of operator. So the address of operator is used to store the address. Instead of storing the value, it is used to store the address. So we have given int ampersand x. So that means instead of storing the value, the x is going to store the address of another variable. Instead of storing the value, it is going to store the address of another variable. So now you see here the same program, void display int ampersand x. So this is the function definition. X represents the formal parameter, right? X equal to x into x. So we are going to multiply x into x, that is x square, and then we are going to store it in x, and then we are going to print the variable x. See here, cout /n. the slash n, the value inside the display function is, we are printing the variable x. We are printing the variable x. Now see the main function. In the main function, they have declared another variable called n1. So n1 is the variable we have declared in the main function. We are going to get the input. We are going to get the input from the user. We are going to get the value for n1 from the user. So we are giving the instruction. Cout, enter the value for n1. Enter the value for n1. Then C in n1. C in n1. Then we are printing the n1 value. After getting the input from the user, we are printing the value n1. That is, the value of n1 is inside the main function. The value of n1 is inside the main function before passing to the display function. So before passing the value, what is the value of n1? Before passing the value of n1, what is the value of n1? Just we are printing inside the main function what is the value of n1 before passing. Then after that we are calling the function display. Can you understand, students, up to this? Yes, up to this we have received the value n1 and then we are printing the value n1. That's all. We are receiving the value from the user and then we are printing the value n1. Then we are calling the function. Calling in the sense we are invoking the function. Calling or invoking, both of them are same. So we are calling the function. We are invoking the function display. We are invoking the function display. So at that time we are passing the variable n1, that is called actual parameter. Whenever we call the display function, we are passing the variable n1. So that is called actual parameter. That is called actual parameter. So n1 value is to be passed, but whenever we pass n1 value, but the value will not be stored in x. Why? The value n1 will not be stored in x. Why? Because the n1 value cannot be passed to x, because x is given as ampersand x. Ampersand x. What is mean by ampersand x? Address of x. So the value of n1 cannot be stored in x. The value of n1 cannot be stored in x. X can store only the address. X can store only the address of another variable. So x is able to store only the address of another variable because x is declared as pointer variable. X is declared as pointer variable. Pointer variable is used to store the address of another variable. Pointer variable is used to store the address of another variable. Can you understand, students? See, whenever you see call by value method, we will pass the n1 value, x will accept the value. Whenever we use call by value method, n1 value is passed to x. So x will copy the value. X will copy the value of n1. But here it is not possible. Why? Because instead of declaring int x, they have declared int ampersand x. Instead of declaring int x, they have declared int ampersand x. Ampersand x represents address of x. It is declared as pointer variable. It is used to store the address of another variable. It is used to store the address of another variable. So n1 address is copied to the variable x. n1 address is copied to the variable x. Can you understand, students? Instead of storing the n1 value, the x is going to store the address of n1. Instead of storing the value of n1 address is going to be stored in x. Then afterwards we are going to multiply x into x. X into x. Then don't think that address is going to be multiplied. The address cannot be multiplied. So in that particular address, what is the value stored? That value will be multiplied. In that particular address, what is the value stored? So already n1 contains some value. That value will be multiplied. That is, that value will be squared. And then the result will be stored again in x. Then we are printing the x value. After printing the x value, when we return back to main function, the value of n1 is inside the main function after passing. So after passing the n1 value, we are coming back to main function. After passing the n1 value, we are coming back to the main function. We are printing n1 again. So first time before passing we printed n1. Then after passing the value to the function, we are printing again. So before passing, after passing, we are printing the same variable n1. Can you understand, students? Before passing we are printing the value n1. Then after passing also we are printing the value n1. So now let us see the program. See here. So I copied the program. Now I am going to open Dev C++. So let's see in a practical manner. Start menu, Dev C++. So when we open Dev C++, Control plus N for new file. Then Control plus V. So after pasting the program, so we want to adjust the program. So space should be left out in all the places. So leaving the space, after leaving the space, we want to save the program. So what is the shortcut for saving, students? Can you say? Yes, the keyboard shortcut for saving is Control plus S, or else you can use file save. Control plus S or file save. Using that we can save the program. So now you see here. So I have left out the space in all the places. So now I am saving the program. Control plus S. So call by reference. So file name is saved like that. So now you can see the program here. So now when I press F11, so it asks me to enter the value for n1. If I give 4, then what will happen? So first of all, the value 4 will be stored in n1. Then the value of n1 is inside the main function before passing. So first n1 value will be printed. What it will be printed? It will be printed as 4. Then again 4 is passed to the display function, but instead of 4, the address will be copied to x. Then the value will be multiplied. 4 into 4, 16. Then the value inside the display function, will be printed as 16. Can you understand, students? First we are entering the value 4. 4 is stored in n1. So it is received here. Using the cin statement, it is received. Then we are printing the value n1. So when we print n1, it prints as 4. Then we are passing the n1 value using display function. So instead of 4, address will be copied. Instead of 4, address will be copied and then it multiplies the value. So 4 into 4, 16. Then here it will be printed as 16. So then again it comes back. When it comes back, the value of n1 is inside the main function is, again it prints 16. Right? Let us see here. So I have entered the value as 4. So when I press enter key, now you see here, the value of n1 is inside the main function before passing. So before passing, what is the value of n1? 4. So that is the input. So it is shown here. Then value inside the display function. So 4 is passed here to the display function, but instead of 4, address is passed. So what happens there? 4 into 4, 16. So x value is printed as 16. That is what you can see here. Can you see here, students? n1 cross n1. Right? So 16. But see the last line. The value of n1 is inside the main function. The value of n1 inside the main function, that is after passing the n1 value. What is stored in main function? What is the value stored in main function, students? It shows 16. Why it is showing 16? Because see here, after passing, the address is passed to the variable x. The address is passed to the variable x. Instead of copying the value, it is passing the address to the variable x. Then whatever the change we are doing inside the function definition, that is whatever the change we are doing in the formal parameter, that change will affect the actual parameter, that is n1. First of all, here n1 value is 4 only. Whenever we are passing itself, the value is 4 only. But instead of passing the value, we are passing the address. How we are passing it as address? Instead of x, they have declared ampersand x. So instead of value, we are passing the address. So whatever the change we are doing in the function definition, that particular change will affect the actual parameter. So that's why when it comes to main function, the n1 value is 16. The n1 value is 16. Let us see this thing in a theoretical manner. See here. So they have shown you the output. Enter the value for n1. So they have given 45. So inside the main function, the value of n1 is 45 only. Then a value is passed to the display function. When it goes to display function, 45 into 45, it is 2025. But when we come back to the main function, the value remains as it is. The value is changed. Why the value is changed means, because see here, note that what is the change we have done in the function header. Note that there is only one change in the display function. Note that there is only one change in the display function, that is the ampersand symbol in the declaration of the parameter x. The ampersand symbol that is used in the declaration of parameter x. That means the argument is a reference variable. The argument is a reference variable, and hence the function will be called by passing the reference. So I already told you, instead of we are passing the value, we are passing it as reference variable. The ampersand symbol is declared with the parameter x. That means that we are going to use the argument as a reference variable. Right? So hence whenever the argument n1 is passed, to the display function, the variable x gets the address of n1, so that the location will be shared. See, in call by value method, the x variable in the display function, copies the value of n1. From main function. But here, instead of copying the value, we are going to share the address. we are going to share the address. That is, address of n1 is going to be stored in the variable x. Address of n1 is going to be stored in the variable x. So the location is shared. Instead of sharing the value, instead of copying the value, we are going to share the value. Sorry, not sharing the value, sharing the address. Instead of copying the value, we are going to share the address of n1. Right? So in other words, we can say that the variable x and n1 refers to the same memory location. So the memory location is shared by both the variables. The memory location is shared by both the variables. We use the name n1 in main function. We are using the name as n1 in main function. But in display function, they are giving the name as x. In display function, the name is given as x. But both of them refers to the same storage location. n1 is a variable which is used in main function. X is a variable that is used in display function. But both the variables refers to the same storage location, because the variable n1 is passed to the variable x. The n1 variable is passed to the variable x. That is, address of n1 is passed to the variable x. Address of n1 is passed to the variable x. So same storage location, we are representing two variable names. So whatever the change we are doing in the variable x, that is, whatever the changes we are doing in the function definition, that is display function, whatever the changes we are doing in the display function, those changes will affect the main function. Whatever the changes we are doing in the display function, that will affect the variable in the main function. So in simple terms, they used to give the definition as, in call by reference method, any changes made in the formal parameter. In call by reference method, any changes made in the formal parameter, that will be reflected back to the actual parameter. Any changes made in the formal parameter will be reflected back to the actual parameter. But in call by value, it is not like that. In call by value method, any changes made in the formal parameter is not reflected back to the actual parameter. Can you understand, students? So I think you might have understood this video. So call by value, call by reference, it's an important 5-mark question. So I think you might have understood this video. So let's end the class. So thank you, students.